No, hello, friends. Today we are on session 4. But before we even get to session 4, let's review last week. Let's talk about some of the things from last week and how you felt, something you put into place, or an aha.
And just as a reminder, last week we talked about a disciplined life, and willpower is not will call, right? We do not need to be disciplined in every aspect of our life.
Really?
And you know what? That was so liberating for me because I am like a control freak on the 11th hour, and like I need to control everything. And to know that I am not needing to be disciplined in every aspect of my life was just so liberating.
Mark Janella, is this speaking to you and some people on your team? Because I feel like they should be on right now. Are they in the office listening?
Some are, some are not, because they're on their commitments.
Did that resonate with anyone last week about control and power and willpower?
As a former accountant, it's something I can indeed connect with pretty strongly. So, control.
I feel like that's most of our agents when we talk about it in every aspect of things. So let's talk about like leverage. When you are ready to make your first hire, you do it out of pain instead of working the model, right? You have no time, or the systems are there for leverage, but you have to control every part of the transaction, right? Like, oh, I see your faces. Like if you've got a great transaction coordinator in your market center and you are making money, is it worth your cost per hour to do those transactions, or is it better to pay for someone to manage it and leverage it so you can put that focus where it should be, which is lead generating? It's a conversation we have often with agents.
Yeah, and I battled this one because I had a coach who was like, just leverage that. And I am the leverage, right?
No,
right.
You
Well,
can't be.
but see, in my world and the roles that I carried, I was the leverage. And yet the person that leverages you also needs leverage.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we also need to let go of some things, because let me tell you, when you let go of some things, you're going to feel better because there are other people who do it better than you.
Somebody can do it better than me.
Yes, Tiffany.
Like my house cleaner.
Yes, exactly. Like if I had somebody to just do the laundry, I would probably put it away faster.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen because I don't think about your marketing, your social media. How freeing is it that we give it to you every Monday? And it is copy, paste, go. That's a form of leverage. You don't have to think. Well,
Yep.
you do a little bit, but
And you don't have to pay somebody either. Because before you go out and you find a human piece of leverage, you should really look at your systems, your processes, and your technology.
well, it's the I do it, we do it, they do it, it does it. So
Yes.
where can you leverage that out? Because your cost per hour should be a lot higher, right? If you are doing tasks that take other people less time to do, then your time is worth so much more. Go ahead, Karina. You're on mute.
I'm not a humongous, I'm not a good leverager, but what I'm doing is I'm starting out really small and printing out my list of, things that need to be like list of addresses for my calendar for end of year. And I just realized that you can order your calendars ahead of time, give them the list and tell them when they want them mailed out, and they'll mail them out for you at that time. So that's the kind of how I'm starting to leverage things out. I know it's not a huge thing, but
it is. It takes hours to print those. First of all, how many of you are going to fight with the stupid printer in the office? You're going to get cranky as hell because you cannot figure out which labels it spits out, or why they're not working, or why it's not lined up. And then you put the freaking thing in upside down. And all of a sudden, something that should have taken you an hour is 4 hours in. You've kicked the printer, you've yelled at the person in the front, and now you're crying and eating again. I mean, does it sound familiar? Like it's everybody's life at the market center. But just because it has to be addressed doesn't mean you're the one who has to address it.
Yep.
That's eye-opening for some Korean. We talked about this, right? Find someone you can pay to address or leverage volunteers. Look at your local high schools and find out which places have kids who are willing to do the work towards their volunteer hours. Y'all got high schools near you?
And you have colleges, they need to build their resumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One fee to address them all
Yes.
and stamp them after they're properly addressed. Then seal them. Guys, it will change your life. Start small if you can't start big. Start with one small thing to give away.
All right. You guys see my slideshow?
Yes, ma'am.
Very cool. Let's make this happen. Time to get real with the one thing. All right, here we go. So we reviewed what we talked about. We get to talk about a balanced life today. This is another one of those, you mean balance is not real type conversations, right?
Well, you're balanced on one side. What happens to the other? Is there truly ever, or do your abs hurt trying to stand on that stupid bouncy ball thing? Bosu, whatever the trainer makes you stand on in the gym. How long can you stand on that thing?
Right. Yeah.
I have abs of mashed potatoes, not steel, friend.
So some of the highlights of the book is a balanced life is a lie. And I know, Brooke, you don't like the word lie. It's a myth, right?
Myth.
It's a myth. In your effort to tend to all things, everything gets shortchanged and nothing gets its due. And think about that, right? So you're hustling, you want to increase your gross commission income by $20,000. And in order to do that, you need to spend a few extra hours. And yet your family still needs you to show up for that soccer game, right? So where do you shortchange? And this is where the one thing really comes into play, right? So in order to increase your GCI by an additional $20,000, what is the one thing you need to do so that you do not miss that soccer game? You know, is it addressing the envelopes or is it picking up the phone and making phone calls?
Hmm.
And the reason we shouldn't pursue balance is that the magic never happens in the middle. The magic happens at the extremes. Brooke, do you have an example in life where like you were completely unbalanced and working towards a goal and you just made it happen?
Yes. And then I had a one thing coach school me, make me cry, break me. And he's part of our region. And he was one of the best things to ever happen to me because I thought busy meant productive. And that is such a bad way to live because I didn't realize how much I was hurting the people who I love most in my life and myself. Right? I was hurting myself most out of all of this. And if you've been on any of these sessions, I've told the story where basically I couldn't wake up and do my morning savers. And when Tony went through this with me and was coaching and breaking it down, well, the reason I wasn't waking up was because I wasn't going to bed at a decent time, because my brain was still lit up, because after the baby went to bed and Adam went to work and the boys were out, guess who jumped back on her computer at night to work? Because I was productive, because nobody was bothering me. So I thought, but then blue screens, you know, now it's midnight and I'm still, even though I shut off at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, my brain is still going like this because I've been in work mode all day. And especially those of us who work out of the home, there's a fine line between working from home and work always being at home. And it's why I will always advocate for going into the office, because there needs to be a line of separation between this is my home and this is work for me.
Yep.
And it took realizing that I was a workaholic to break some of those, what I thought I was balancing things. Because, you know, one day Hope said to me, how come you're always on your computer when I get up at night? And I was like, oh. Well, sometimes I'm playing video games, but most times I'm not. I'm creating things. So it was a hard look at things, but then it took a big habit change to show that, guess what, friends, nothing happens after 7. The world didn't fall apart. Everybody was okay. I did not get fired. and balance happens. That counterbalance happens.
Absolutely. All right. Now, this is an article. See, we think technology is this wonderful thing and that we've really because of technology, our world is better. Our world is better. And yet, if you look at this graph, it shows from 1986 to the year 2000, we really never talked about work-life balance. And part of that was because there was somebody who worked from home and somebody that took care of the home and somebody that worked outside of the home. And then all of a sudden we become these dual career houses, and now we're trying to balance. And when that started to happen, if you look in 2007, now there's all these articles about how to balance work life.
And I feel I think we talked about it, was it yesterday on Productivity Monsters in the Morning, about how this was ingrained to me as a child in school, right? Future business leaders of America, and in my home economics classes and all these outdated things. I was conditioned as a child to figure out how to have work-life balance instead of enjoying life, especially working on a farm and growing up in a farm type environment.
Yeah, you grew up on a farm. I grew up in the streets of Jersey in the
Yeah,
city.
I know. It's evident. It's evident.
I learned so much on these calls. Now we look here and we have the work life in the middle, right? Now, when you look at this is quote unquote balance, right? And yet, is everything status quo? Right? Are you pursuing everything at a small level? And if you look at the next slide, which is my favorite slide, this is work life in the extremes.
That was me living off the extremes because I was pushed up against deadlines, or I just had to get something done, or I procrastinated. That's that extreme where it's either fight or flight, or something is going to happen the next day. So you are up all night creating that listing presentation, finding your comps, right? You knew this appointment was coming 4 days ago, yet it's midnight. And what are you doing? Oh, you logged into your MLS.
Relate.
Oh, and then you're calling me because something is not working for your designs, but because I'm no longer a workaholic, I do not.
You were sleeping. I love that. So when you gamble with your time, you may be placing a bet you can't cover. And, this one to me is personal because I am a procrastinator. If I don't have enough stress to get it done, this is why I have so many things going on, because I need to, if I didn't have 20 things going on and I only had one thing's going on, knowing that I can get it done in 15, 20 minutes, I would just do it, right? So this is one area that I need to really focus on, because someday it's going to bite me. And someday I'm not going to get it done, and then I'm going to have egg on my face, and it's going to be.
So the word you said is Sunday. So you're going to change this by Monday, or was that someday?
And sometimes you have to get bit before you make the change. And our goal is understand this. Don't get bit. Don't be a Tiffany.
But it does. And sometimes it takes seeing certain things to really create action. If you've got children, they are the best at this right there, especially the little ones. How come you're always on your phone? How come when you're at my game, you're always on your phone? How come when I'm talking to you, or how come at the dinner table, everybody's on their phone, right? The littlest ones point this out. Mm-hmm. And not in my house, because I have a strict no tech rule at the table. I don't know if you guys can believe that, but we do, because you've got to limit it. And having dinner with my family means everything to me. So that's not a bet I'm willing to take on them.
So, and it really hits you in your face when you ask your favorites in your life, all the littles in your life, and they're like, and I say, what's Gigi's favorite thing? And they're like, work. Oh, stab me. No, you're my favorite.
Yeah, Toddlers and little kids under the age of 7 are brutal. You want a real assessment of who you are? Ask somebody close to you in life who's under the age of 8, man. They will break you to the core. You know what? I'll drop off Hope Robin Silva to you for an hour or two and your soul will be broken.
Right.
She's
So
brutal.
don't let other people or littles define that in your world. Like, take these lessons in this book and just figure out. And you know what? Sometimes it's just taking 10 minutes and having a conversation in your head. Yes, it's okay to talk to yourself. Talk to yourself. It's
I have a lot of voices. I have a lot of voices in my head.
right. They go on to say, to achieve an extraordinary, we're going to keep moving. To achieve an extraordinary result, you must choose what matters most and give it all the time it demands. This requires getting extremely out of balance in relationship to all other work issues, with only infrequent counterbalancing to address them. So, Brooke, I got to check my email. What if
Do you?
somebody sent me an email that I need to respond to, right?
Do you? What is more important than if you don't do your lead gen, you're not going to have emails to check later.
Or I want to create that great marketing piece.
No, you don't. You're not a designer. It's already done. Stop reinventing the wheel and just take my stuff and put it out there. Stop. Everybody's going to work on their designs for 7 hours instead of just using what's there.
Right. Because you know what? Something is better than perfect.
Perfection paralysis is something we talk about. Your business is constipated because you refuse to work through the things.
Absolutely. Then it goes on to say, when you act on your priority, you'll automatically go out of balance, giving more time to one thing over another.
One thing. So do one thing that may make everything unnecessary or easier.
Right? Yeah. I've noticed that, like when you actually disciplined yourself to do the one thing, then you're like, I don't have to do that next thing because I actually did this. Amazing how that works.
And things show up. Like, I'm working on this big report to help our region. And, I've been stumped with how to solve a problem. And by focusing all my energy for a very specific time today, I was able to, a solution came forward through a problem and focusing on this report. And it was exciting, nerdy,
Yeah.
I know, but exciting.
Absolutely. So now you have the work-life counterbalance, right? Do you see that red arrow that says life? That's never really, it toggles the line of balance. But then the work-life balance, it goes in and out. And the reason it does that is because you're looking at this and you're like, all right, 4 more transactions. I have to get really out of balance over here with my lead generation to make that happen, right? Or I'm going to leverage my business and hire an admin. Now I have to do career visioning, which means I'm going to have to take my foot off the pedal over here a little bit, because now I'm going to the extreme of learning how to make a great hire.
But can they even handle the business they're bringing in? If they are pushing pedal to the metal running as a solo agent, career visioning is like the fuel cleaner, right? If you are running at 100 miles an hour, you've got to do that because you're not going to be able to sustain the leads or your business or continue to convert at a higher level. So
yeah, let's take it to our newer agents, right? So our newer agents that might have to have another job, like that work-life balance. So what's going to get sacrificed a little bit so that you could do the level of lead generation you have to do?
And be disciplined about that one thing, your lead gen.
Yeah. Not to be a broken record, but lead gen.
Lead gen.
Yeah. So the big idea is think about 2 balancing buckets, right? Separate your work life and your personal life. This is a big one. I don't know that I really ever until recently separated the 2.
I don't think I have either. What's hard is KW, well, some of my family is here, but KW, the people I've met that are in my world have become family and have become part of my personal life.
Yep. And, just my world. So as a single mom, like I had no choice but to be successful in this industry because failure wasn't an option. And being in this business from 1999 until the present, I mean, those that have been around, they've seen the ups and downs of the market. And, I had no choice but to make business work, because if business didn't work, then the family life would fall apart. And yet, did I need to sacrifice to the level I did? And you grow and you learn, right? And you learn from others, which is why we do these sessions. Counterbalance your work bucket. You know, I think we've really nailed this one. Lead generate. I don't care whether you're on leadership or you are new to the business or you're an agent that is a millionaire real estate agent. You have to counterbalance your work bucket, because you're always looking to grow to the next level, whatever that looks like to you.
Counterbalance also means you're allowed to take days off, Tiffany.
Days off.
Yeah.
I actually, let me just tell you, day off Sunday, I didn't wake up till 9 a.m. and I didn't get out of bed till 5 o'clock. And for those that know me,
That's rare.
that is like, I was like, am I getting sick? Straight up. So counterbalance your personal life bucket, right? Acknowledge that your life actually has multiple areas and that each require a minimum of attention for you to feel that you have a life. What does your finances need to look like? What does that fun time have to look like? Like, one of my missions is to cook dinner for Christopher. My last child is home. My other two have moved out. I have one left, right? What does it look like to really, and now he's an only child again. Like, I'm in the only child life, and it's so great. And what does that look like? That's important to me. So I'm counterbalancing. I might not go exercise in the afternoon like I used to. Now I have to figure out another time because my afternoons are about Christopher.
I also think counterbalancing is important to look at your energy. So how many of you on here have read The Energy Bus? It's like one of my favorite books lately in so many things. Who's read it? Minogue Chanel, Dave, Jane. Okay. So if you haven't read it, here it is. And basically what I love about this book so much is it taught me counterbalance in the areas of my life. And it's not about kicking people off of your bus. It's about knowing who needs to be on your bus right now to help you drive it forward, whether your personal life or your business world. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I was comfortable knowing that the people in my world currently were not the ones that were supposed to be on my bus right now, helping me get there. So you're allowed to let people off at stops and lock the door and keep going.
I can lock my door. I've locked my door a few times.
Yeah. And if you're struggling with this and finding your tribe and finding the balance in these areas, this is a quick read. It's an even better Audible. There's printouts, there's pictures, there's fun things. This is one of those books that I don't live without, and I don't reread things often, except for our books here. This book is always right at my fingertips.
Thinking I need to read it again. So now let's take action, right? Everyone take a piece of paper and a pen. What is one thing right now that you need to counterbalance?
Oh, I want to take it a step further.
Okay, take it a step further, man.
What is one small thing you can leverage right now? Like today? Like, it could be personal life, it could be business life. What is one thing right now you can give away because it's not the right balance? What can you leverage out right now?
Right now.
Right now. Like, are there dishes in the sink that needs to be done? You got teenagers, send them a text that says Wi-Fi goes off if I get home and there are dishes in the sink. Period. I'll show you how to do it. I can log in from anywhere and shut Wi-Fi off.
I actually bought one of those things that have three little gnomes or nooms or whatever the heck they call them. And I can literally shut off different pieces of technology. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, making dinner. Jennifer said making dinner. Guess what? You could meal prep on weekends or use meal kits or hire someone to do it.
Absolutely.
Who else? What else? I want to know what you're going to leverage out or get rid of. I'm telling you, teenagers are the best. Teach them now. I loved when my teenagers were home.
Yeah, my teenager just walked in the door right now. All right.
What else?
Here we
Cleaning.
go.
Cleaning. That's an easy one too.
Yeah.
Are you at a point where you can pay to have someone clean? Here's what I also learned when you hire someone to clean is that the day they show up, talk about that counterbalance point. You are a maniac in your house cleaning because you're embarrassed to show the cleaning people it needs to be cleaned. Like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah, I have to pick up everything.
What is wrong with me? Right? Like, but Ashley, what would it look like if you leveraged your mom as a house cleaner? What would it free you up to do more of? Right? Like it's one of those things. And can we let go of, like, I get tidying up, but man, I should not be dusting my mantle. I should not be cleaning the bathrooms that I'm paying someone to do, but it's this, like, that's the stupidest thing I do. I don't know why I do that.
Yep.
Lead generating at your part-time job. How can you use the tools and technology we have to make automation your friend when you are a dual career agent? They exist. My husband lived in that world for a long time and was able to become successful. And it's out there, but you got to spend some sweat equity setting it up.
Yep.
What
So
else?
once you do that.
Yeah. What else? What else? What else? What's one thing you can give away professionally or personally? How many of you have texted kids at home right now and now they're like, I don't like that Brooke you work with? That was
Well,
my-
I would say now that you've given up that one thing,
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
yeah.
yes.
My 19-year-old is staring at me right now and laughing because as soon as you said that, he was kind of making a joke because he's listening to this with me. And guess what I asked him to do?
Put the dishes away.
He is doing it as we speak.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm very proud. I'm very proud. No.
That's it. I'll mute again.
I love it. But again, the 5 minutes it's going to take him to put those away means actually 15 minutes where we can work on something else in the business or spend that with them later if they want us to.
Yeah. I'll also add headspace, right?
Yeah.
I have 2 loads of laundry that need to be done. I don't care what I have going on. Those 2 loads of laundry are in my head swimming.
Right here. It's like they're earmuffs just waiting for me to put them away. Like, I can't stand it either. And that's another reason why it's so important for you to leave your home. And even if you go to the office and work in what the bullpen or open space, or you have an office, to be able to not come out, go to the bathroom and see what needs to be done or what's in the kitchen or what hasn't been done that day is huge. Because being able to disconnect from home life while you're working is very difficult.
100%. Karina, I see your hand.
I think I must be a crazy person because I can work from home and I can leave those dishes in the sink and I
Lucky
can
you.
leave those towels in the dryer.
Can we back up? Can we back up that phrase? You must be a crazy person. But not everybody can, right? So,
Yeah.
but there's got to be something that bothers you, right? So that point, that is it noise in your house, right? Like, I have construction around me everywhere. I want to go out there and like pull the power on 3 houses so that I can just work from home without noise. Noise is the thing for me.
Yep.
See, for me, going in the office is sometimes a big distraction for me. I agree with
See?
Karina.
Can be, but also, are you protecting your time there, right? There are things you can do to help yourself with that. You can time block social. You can use your time there effectively in your social time to build more relationships, referral friends, mentors, other ideas. It's all on how you use that time, because I am a social butterfly and I will walk into your office and derail you.
Will
Exactly. See,
you?
that's
You
why I like
wouldn't. Not
working
you,
from home.
Brooke.
Well, I go in one of those telephone booths we have in our office
Smart lady.
and I do my lead generation in there.
Yep.
But then like if I come out, if I have to go to the bathroom, that's it. Somebody's
But you
pulling
know
me
what? A lot
aside
for
or
that. But that's when you get to lead, like, a lot for those breaks to do that, because obviously you do enjoy being around people at the office, and
I-
magic happens when we're together.
I do enjoy people.
And Pokemons. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so we're on to section 9, the next lie. So big is bad. We are kept from our goal, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. So is big bad? There's too many B's in that,
That was a lot of alliteration.
right? My Jersey Italian doesn't do it well. So big is bad is a lie. No one knows their ultimate ceiling for its achievement, so worrying about it is a waste of time. So we should just take action and see what happens. Like those 250 emails that I've been planning on sending out for 4 days now, I should just send them out. Maybe use a system and
A
a
smart plan.
technology.
I don't know. Tag people, put them on the
Right.
smart plan, delay it, stagger
You
it.
know, and I'll be vulnerable. The biggest reason why I don't send those 250 emails out is twofold. What if I get rejected? And what if I don't get rejected and I have more business than I can handle? Right?
That doesn't sound like such a bad thing. It sounds like you need to grow. But that's
Called
a
the devil in my head.
but that's a ceiling, right?
Right.
That is mindset, and then leverage comes into play, because what if you fly?
Right.
You can't have two negatives on that positive, right? What if people answer me, Tiffany? You can't say then, oh my gosh,
know.
I'm too busy.
Well,
That's right. But then it goes into, what if I fly? But how about this? What if we don't live in what ifs and that perfection paralysis?
Well, and then, and I'm being completely vulnerable because we're here doing this call and like, we have to be honest with who we are as human beings so that you can be honest with who you are as a human being. But at the end of the day, when you turn around and you stop that conversation, what would it have looked like if I sent those 250 emails out 2 weeks ago, got 9 new coaching clients, and then when my kid called and asked for something, I wasn't stressed because now where does the money come from, right? Because remember, single mom here. So talk about the whole, like, big is not bad.
Mm-mm.
Big is amazing. And I live a big life and I can live a bigger life.
We can all live a bigger life. And I think too, again, it goes back to that conditioning that we got as children. Some of us on this call were born in a time where maybe you made it through high school, you got married, you bought a house, you had kids, you worked the same job until you retired. And then that was life. You went to Florida, you got a pool, right? Like you went to Naples, maybe Jupiter, maybe Arizona. But
that favorite card game that they like to play.
Canasta, but that is not, we are so conditioned from a young age to not think big unless you played team sports or unless you were a competitor in something. And that's a whole other ball game with how they mess you up with some of that stuff sometimes. But we're not given the room to dream when it comes to high school, because it's what's next, but it's not, here's your big goal. And we don't have the maturity at that age to even say, I want XYZ.
Right.
And our XYZ should change. Our mountain should get bigger and change.
And our XYZ should change. Like I'll be 49 on the 11th. And my big goal, they change I feel like it's all the time, because the more you understand, the more ceilings you break through, the more opportunity, and it's a challenge within me. It's not looking at others in the world around me and deciding, well, I want to be like that. It's like, okay, based on everything, what do I desire in my life, right? What do you desire in your life? And how are you going to take action? And if you don't think big, you're limiting yourself.
You are. True that, home slice.
So the only actions that become springboards to succeeding big are those informed by big thinking to begin with. What you build today will either empower you or restrict you tomorrow, right? Either send out those emails or don't send out those emails. It's either going to restrict my goals for tomorrow or it's going to empower my goals for tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Only living big will let you experience your true life and your work potential.
Somebody said something to me once. They said, are you building a life or are you building walls around your life? And I was like, I don't like you. And then we dug deeper and he said to me, no, Brooke, you have big dreams, but you are putting up walls around those dreams, because while you're trying to dream big and then you put it out there, you are so worried about the small things and trying to make everything balanced that instead of building a bigger life, you are building a life and you are putting walls around them.
Mhm.
And I still did not like that conversation because it hurt.
So then we look at your think big, act big, succeed big, right? This is one of my favorite, right? I think we talked about this on one of our morning calls. So the bigger the action, the bigger the outcome. The smaller the action, the smaller the outcome, right? So where are we going to go with what we're looking to deliver? And then how big is your box? Me? I don't have a box. I choose not to have a box. Boxes are underrated, overrated, ridiculously rated, right? So that little box of what, how, who, right? That big box of what, how, who do you have in your world? I think one of our upcoming PM in the mornings is going to talk about like who your tribe is.
Mhm.
When you think about who your tribe is, are they in that little tiny box or are they in that big box?
And how, and this goes back, if energy bus works better for you, who's on the bus? Who's pushing the brakes? Sometimes it's just as simple as going, who is holding me back or who is helping give energy to propel forward in any of those parts of life, business or personal?
No breaks.
No
Let's
energy
go over the hill.
vampires.
Let's go over the hill. All right, so think big. Avoid incremental thinking that simply asks, what do I do next? This is at best the slow lane to success, and at worst the off ramp. Ask bigger questions. A good rule of thumb is to double down everywhere in your life. If your goal is 10, ask the question, how do I get to 20? Set a goal so far above what you want that you'll be building a plan that practically guarantees your original goal, right? This is where if you're in bold, this is where
Mhm.
that take whatever your GCI goal is and double it came into play. And I know people get highly upset about this. And yet I say I'm going to reach $800,000 in GCI and I hit 750, right? Am I okay with that? I was
I'm
pretty
pretty
close
sure
to
that's a
that.
good goal you hit. I'm pretty sure that's a good one. Listen, we're New Englanders. If somebody jumps into the left lane on the highway doing 45 in a 65, how do you feel? Just how do you feel? Like, okay, yes, I know. And this is just a pure, like, this is a New England thing. Are you doing that to your life? Are you jumping in that left lane? That's a 65 mile an hour, only doing 45. You've got the ability, and it takes one thing.
Where do you drive?
Push the pedal, Massachusetts, sir.
I
Come
don't-
on, you know that.
65?
I'm in the 65. I didn't say what speed I was going, sir. But we all know I live in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yep.
There's
I
some
know
road-
now that I'm driving more, like I thought Maine was okay. Maine is slow compared
Yeah,
to
I
the
know.
rest of New
Love
England.
driving up there. It's just fantastic. But think about that on your business. All it takes for you to get in that lane is to one, you should use your blinker, move over, and push the pedal.
Use your blinker. That's not
Blinker.
something New Englanders use.
The blinker, like you should. It's polite. Telling all the people in your world, get ready. I'm going faster.
Yeah. So when you hit, and just to finish, like, so if you set a goal for 800,000, you hit 750, you're cool with that, right? You set a goal for 1 million, you hit 950, that's bigger than 800,000. So you might not have hit that $1 million goal, and yet I love David. Keeping us on point. And
I
then we,
smile and wave.
right? And the next one is don't order from the menu, right? If you, back in the day when Apple first introduced the iPhone and all that, and they talked about think different, right? He compared us to Ali and Dylan and Einstein and Hitchcock, and like all these guys that were just huge dreamers. And not only were they huge dreamers, but they took the dream and they made it a reality. So where in your world do you have to take a dream and make it a reality?
Let me tell you a quick story about someone in my world. I would go to a restaurant with them, and it's not that if they were fussy, but it's like they didn't like a lot of things unless they made it.
So they were fussy.
Kind of.
You're talking about my wife?
No, no. Me and my mom. So when we would go to a restaurant, this person would then sit there for 10 minutes and pick out everything they did not like. And I'm like, hello there. Why not just say no tomatoes or onions or pico on the side? And no, I don't want to be a bother. But then they spent all this time. They could have been eating with me and having another margarita, and instead they are picking all the crap out they don't like instead of just saying or making it their own. Because let me tell you, they thought they were inconveniencing others. How many of you are doing that simple thing in your business or your daily personal lives? Because we know somebody else is capable of putting away the towels that you folded, or the dishes, or putting the dishes in the dishwasher, or mowing the lawn, or cleaning this. But here's where control comes in. Tiffany, you think you do it better. But when we let go of some of those things,
Yeah.
or we just start to order things the way we want it, now we can enjoy things more. Now that person finally gets it that they can order their meals the way they like it and enjoy more time with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just for clarity, I spent the last year not caring about the fact that I do it better than others. And I have leveraged every aspect of my life that can be leveraged, because what I've learned in that process is by leveraging all of those things, I can think bigger. I can grow bigger. I can go out to a restaurant and say, hey, put the jalapeno on the side because I'm all set, right?
Tiffany wasn't the fussy one, by the way. My mother.
No, I'm not. It's food. I like it. All right, what's next? Let's see.
Act bold.
Yeah, let's act bold.
Big thoughts.
Yeah.
Big thoughts go nowhere unless you do something. Again, you're going to hop in that left lane, and unless you push the gas pedal, I mean, I'm not saying drive like a maniac, but if you don't push the gas pedal or you don't ask big questions and imagine what life looks like with the answer, right? A lot of us are future negative. Why aren't we thinking future positive and imagining a world where those goals and those big thoughts actually happened? And if you can't imagine it, look at people who have done it, study them, right? What are their models, their system? This is why we tell you to take top agents out for lunch, right? Pick their brains over coffee, ask questions, show up to the panels, because just because we think we have the same goals of building a big business, our lives are completely different. We are all different, but models and systems consistently work. Creativity will kill us on these things. Follow the systems and models that others do. They're just there now. And something Tiffany and I have talked about a lot is one step. Sometimes things just take one step forward. And when we meet with these top agents or people that we aspire to be like, all we see is end results, but we're not looking at the one step they took that turned into 2 steps, that turned into 2,500 and miles and miles and miles till they got to where they were living what they wanted to be living. So it starts with one step and following systems and models, because success is not sexy. It's discipline, right? It's not sexy. The doing
Results and what you do with the successes.
Exactly. But doing the everyday minutia is not sexy. And HGTV did not help us in that world. The other thing is we cannot fear failure. Fail forward, friends. How many of us have those shirts? How many of us see those every day when we walk into the market center? Fail forward. Would you tell your kids, oh, you can't tie your shoe? Velcro for life. Here we go.
Training wheels.
Nope.
Oh, you
Nope. No driver's license, you take the bus, for life.
Or let's just go all the way back when they started walking. Who would
Nope.
tell a baby, right? Who would tell a
Nope.
baby that they have no capabilities and they should not be walking?
Crawl for life. Crawl.
Why do we do that to
forever.
ourselves?
Because we're so afraid of failure. We are
And I,
so
yeah,
failure. And, take your own advice that you give the other people in your life and stop being so hard on yourself.
right.
Failure builds success because we learn from those. We don't do it again, hopefully, unless you're a glutton for punishment, and we move forward. We
You
hit that
either
reset
win
button.
or you learn, right?
Yeah.
Loss and losing, and that is not reality. You either win or you learn. And a lot of times in our life, the learning is better than if you had won.
There's a Paula Abdul song about this. One of my favorite videos. It was It was a little animation with a wolf. You go figure that out after on the Googlies. But it's true. You take one step forward.
2 steps back. Oh, now I was like, where are you going with that? Bringing back the 80s, man, or 90s.
Paula Abdul, but it's so true. And if you look at anybody who's been on a big panel or on stage at family reunion, that wasn't like silver spoons, little golden path lined with diamonds and leads.
Mm-mm.
There was pain. There was triumph. There's failure and there's growth from the failure. But if you're not willing to even take the step to see if you fail, then we're never going to know where you grow or if you fly.
And the last thing we ever want to do is be 86 years old or however old you get to live to and be like, I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
Regret is just such a horrible thing. And as much as the pain of today of taking that one step, that one action, that one limiting fear that you just gonna get rid of and move forward, you'll win.
You will. Sometimes it won't be today, though, but you may win next week.
So the action is, don't let small thinking cut your life down to size. Think big, aim bit high, and act bold, and see just how big you can blow up your life. So take out a piece of paper that you can get rid of, you don't need. What is one thought that is cutting you down right now? What is one thing that every day you wake up and you say, whatever,
I'll get to it someday.
right? And then I want you to rip it up.
Oh, I wrote it on a piece of pita because it's all I have in my office. So here we go. I'm ripping up that piece of pita. It's all that was left. I didn't even have a napkin.
Right? Because at the end of the day, we are our worst enemies when it comes to our own personal success. And how many times and let me just bring it back. There are people in my life who see me as a certain way and see me as, this amazing person in certain areas of my life. And in those same areas of my life, I'm literally like, I suck. That negative self-talk, I can't even, right? And yet there are people in my life like, how can you think that way? Because it's those small thinking that y'all just ripped up.
Yeah, Barbara, I see you ripping that up aggressive. That must have been something really good, girl, because you are hitting that hard.
Right? And
That
every
is-
time you have,
Whew.
so from this day forward, if you get nothing else out of this hour that you spent with us, every time you have a small thinking that's going to cut it, I want you to write it down on a piece of paper and either go put it in a fire pit or rip it up.
Bravo. That was
Do it outside.
yeah, safely. Fire safety first, please.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get to our workbook, thoughts on the 2 topics that we talked about. What's your aha? Made me feel like you appreciated the hour you spent with Brooke and I. What did you learn from us?
That
Don't
might.
let your mind mess with you,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are your own worst enemy.
Oh wait.
I need to
I
find
really
one.
want to know where that happened in our lives. When did it become that we were that horrible to ourselves? It wasn't when we were babies.
No, we think that we are the world. Everybody loves us.
Yeah.
Everybody hugs and kisses.
I
Amy,
think some of it has to go with upbringing and what was
Right.
expected of you and what you could produce and how it was reacted to.
and I would almost argue how much of that is how we take words and switch them. Like we hear one thing and then we internalize it and make it something completely else.
Oh, that great overthinking thing we do. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Amy,
I don't know, some of you may have heard me say this before, and maybe it's a limiting belief, but I get more hung up on the idea of fearing success as opposed to failure.
Girl, all day, every day.
Okay.
It's my big limiting belief that I should not be successful based on how I grew up and what is thrown at me.
Right? I mean, yeah. Those that know me, I was raised by a single mom who had me at 14. Like, and who am I to have half the things that I've accomplished in my life just based on who I was brought up and how I was brought up? Such a horrible limiting belief.
Yep. Yep. And that's when working with coaching, if you've got a limiting belief that is holding you back, talk to leadership, talk about getting a coach, because those are the things that are going to help you break through that ceiling so you can hit those goals and get to that bigger why that you're going after.
Absolutely.
Joe.
Yeah, I think the last slide really says it all. Don't let the little things control your day. Make it the big things that you're focused on, even if it's only 6 hours a day or 4 hours a day. Get the important stuff done.
Has
Mhm.
anybody ever heard this phrase? And I didn't understand it until I was in a wonderful marriage. My mom used to always say to me, in your life and in your marriage, do not sweat the small stuff. Where are the priorities in your life? And if you only focused on what they are not doing or the little tiny things, those things build up to bigger things over time. And it was probably some of the best advice I ever got. But I also took that to other places in life. Whereas, are there dishes in the sink? Yep. But is my kid awake and I want to read to her? Yep. Small things are the dishes. Big things are my Hope Robin.
Yep.
At this point. And it took me communicating that to other people in my family to make them understand why I didn't do the dishes. There were also
Yeah.
4 other people.
Because honestly, at 86 years old, are you going to remember the fact that you didn't do the dishes or that you didn't read to your baby?
Right. And that was some of the best advice is don't sweat the small things and keep focusing on the bigger things, which is my relationship with the people in my world and in my business world, so that my life just keeps getting bigger and brighter.
100%. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the workbook? Thumbs up if you thought this was worth your hour time. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to share the workbook. So now this is a kind of a side item that we're doing along with the one thing. So essentially, we've gone through the first section, which is uncovering your purpose. And Brooke, can you throw this in the chat if you have it?
Yep. It's also in the yeah, I will.
Thank you. So we've done exercises 1, which is what matters to you. Exercise 2 is, okay, now that you know that that matters to you, find the link between what you do in your business. And then exercise 3 was shaping your purpose. This week, we're going to work on benchmarks and trends. Okay. So based on what you said, how are we going to know that we're accomplishing what we desire to accomplish? So who has achieved a goal in line with my purpose? What did they achieve? How did they achieve it? And who helped them achieve it? So you're really defining the benchmarks in each one of these areas so you know how to set up your goals. All right. Any questions on where we're at in the workbook?
I'm going to drop the link to everything we've ever provided on the one thing right inside the chat. If you are not in our Facebook group, well, I'm going to tell you, you're missing out. I will drop that in there as well. Let me see, the one thing. Group. I have so many groups. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Actually, Tiffany, can you pop this up? Got it.
All right.
Find your one thing. Here it is, coming at you hot.
All right. So Brooke's throwing everything in the chat. Grab what you need. That's a whole bunch of numbers there, Brooke.
Well, if you just go there, it'll bring you to the group number.
If you guys need anything, you know how to reach us. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.